चरण सरोज रज निज मन मुकुर सुधारी बरन रघुबर बिमल जसु जो दायक फलचारी बुद्धिहीन तनु जानिके सुमिरो पवन कुमार बल बुद्धि विद्या देहु मोहि हरहु कलेश विकार जय हनुमान ज्ञान गुण सागर जय कपीसति लोक उजागर रामदूत अतुलित बल धामा अंजनी पुत्र पवन सुत नामा महावीर विक्रम बजरंगी कुमति निवार सुमति के संगी कंचन बरन विराज सुबेसा कानन कुंडल कुंचित केसा हाथ वज्र ध्वजा विराजय कांधे मुंज जनेऊ साजय शंकर सुवन केसरी नंदन तेज प्रताप महाजगवंदन विद्यावान गुणी अति चातुर राम काज करिबेको आतुर प्रभु चरित्र सुनिबेको रसिया राम लखन सीता मन बसिया सूक्ष्म रूप धरि सिहि दिखावा विकट रूप धरि लंक जरावा भीम रूप धरि असुर सहारे रामचंद्र के काज सवारे लाय सजीवन लखन जियाए श्री रघुवीर हर्षि उर लाए रघुपति कीनी बहुत बड़ाई तुम मम प्रिय भरत ही समभाई सहस बदन तुम रोज सगावै अस कहि श्रीपति कंठ लगावै सनकादिक ब्रह्मादि मुनीसा नारद सारद सहित अहिसा जम कुबेर दिक्पाल जहाते कवि कोविद कहि सके कहाते तुम उपकार सुग्रीव ही कीन्हा राम मिलाय राजपद दीन्हा तुम्हरो मंत्र विभीषण माना लंकेश्वर भय सब जग जाना जुग सहस्र योजन पर भानु लील्यो ताहि मधुर पल जानु प्रभु मुद्रिका मेलि मुख माहि जलधि लांघि गए अचरज नाहि दुर्गम काज जगत के जेते सुगम अनुग्रह तुमरे तेते राम दुआरे तुम रखवारे होतन आज्ञा बिनु पैसारे सब सुख लहै तुम्हारी सरना तुम रक्षक काहू को डरना आपन तेज समारो आपै तीनों लोक हाकते कापै भूत पिशाच निकट नहीं आवै महावीर जब नाम सुनावै नासै रोग हरै सब वीरा जपत निरंतर हनुमत बीरा संकट ते हनुमान छुड़ावै मन क्रम वचन ध्यान जो लावै सब पर राम तपस्वी राजा जिनके काज सकल तुम साजा और मनोरथ जो कोई लावै सोई अमित जीवन फल पावै चारों जुग प्रताप तुम्हारा है प्रसिद्ध जगत उजियारा साधु संत की तुम रखवारे असुर निकंदन राम दुलारे अष्ट सिद्धि नो निधि के दाता असबर दीन जानकी माता राम रसायन तुम्हारे पासा सदा रहो रघुपति के दासा तुम्हारे भजन राम को पावै जन्म जन्म के दुख बिसरावै अंत काल रघुवर पुर जाई जहाँ जन्म हरि भक्त कहाई और देवता चित्तन धरई हनुमत से सर्व सुख करई संकट कटई मिटई सब पीरा जो सुमिरई हनुमत बलबीरा जय 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 हनुमान गोसाई कृपा करहु गुरुदेव की नाई जो सत बार पाठ कर गोई छूट ही बंदी महासुख होई जो यह पढ़ हनुमान चालीसा होय सिद्धि साखी गौरी सा तुलसीदास सदा हरि चेरा की जय नाथ हृदय महडेरा पवन तनय संकट हरन मंगल मूर्ति रूप राम लखन सीता सहित हृदय बसहु सुर भूप सियावर रामचंद्र की जय पवन सुत हनुमान की जय। गुरु चरण सरोज रज निज मन मुकुर सुधारी बरन रघुबर बिमल जसु जो दायक फलचारी बुद्धिहीन तनु जानिके सुमिरो पवन कुमार बल बुद्धि विद्या देहु मोहि हरहु कलेश विकार जय हनुमान ज्ञान गुण सागर जय कपीसति लोक उजागर रामदूत अतुलित बल धामा अंजनी पुत्र पवन सुत नामा महावीर विक्रम बजरंगी कुमति निवार सुमति के संगी कंचन बरन विराज सुबेसा कानन कुंडल कुंचित केसा हाथ वज्र ध्वजा विराजय कांधे मुंज जनेऊ साजय शंकर सुवन केसरी सुंदरी नंदन तेज प्रताप महाजगबंदन विद्यावान गुणी अति चातुर राम काज करिबेको आतुर प्रभु चरित्र सुनिबेको रसिया राम लखन सीता मन वसिया सूक्ष्म रूप धरि सिंहि दिखावा विकट रूप धरि लंक जरावा भीम रूप धरि असुर सहारे रामचंद्र के काज सवारे लाय सजीवन लखन जियाए श्री रघुवीर हर्षि उर लाए रघुपति कीन्ही बहुत बड़ाई तुम मम प्रिय भरत ही समभाई सहस बदन तुम रोजस गावै अस कहि श्रीपति कंठ लगावै सनकादिक ब्रह्मादि मुनीसा नारद सारद सहित अहिसा जम कुबेर दिगपाल जहाते कवि कोविद कहि सके कहाते तुम उपकार सुग्रीव ही कीन्हा राम मिलाय राजपद दीना तुम्हरो मंत्र विभीषण माना लंकेश्वर भय सब जग जाना जुग सहस्र योजन पर भानु लील्यो ताहि मधुर पल जानु प्रभु मुद्रिका मेलि मुख माहि जलधि लांघि गए अचरज नाही दुर्गम काज जगत के जेते सुगम अनुग्रह तुमरे तेते राम दुआरे तुम रखवारे होत न आज्ञा बिनु पैसारे सब सुख लहै तुम्हारी सरना तुम रक्षक काहू को डरना आपन तेज समारो आपै तीनों लोक हाकते कापै भूत पिशाच निकट नहीं आवै महावीर जब नाम सुनावै नासै रोग हरै सब पीरा जपत निरंतर हनुमत बीरा संकट ते हनुमान छुड़ावै मन क्रम वचन ध्यान जो लावै सब पर राम तपस्वी राजा जिनके काज सकल तुम साजा और मनोरथ जो कोई लावै सोई अमित जीवन फल पावै चारों जुग परताप तुम्हारा है प्रसिद्ध जगत उजियारा साधु संत के तुम रखवारे असुर निकंदन राम दुलारे अष्ट सिद्धि नो निधि के दाता असबर दीन जानकी माता राम रसायन तुम्हारे पासा सदा रहो रघुपति के दासा तुम्हारे भजन राम को पावै जन्म जन्म के दुख बिसरावै अंत काल रघुवर पुर जाई जहाँ जन्म हरि भक्त कहाई और देवता चित्तन धरई हनुमत से सर्व सुख करई संकट कटई मिटई सब पीरा जो सुमिरै हनुमत बल बीरा जय 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 हनुमान गोसाई कृपा करहु गुरुदेव की नाई जो सत बार पाठ कर कोई छूट ही बंदी महासुख होई जो यह पढ़ हनुमान चालीसा होय सिद्धि साखी गौरी सा तुलसीदास सदा हरि चेरा की जय नाथ हृदय महडेरा पवन तनय संकट हरन मंगल मूर्ति रूप राम लखन सीता सहित हृदय बसहु सुर भूप सियावर रामचंद्र की जय पवन सुत हनुमान की जय।
कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुम् ईश्वर भक्ति भाव से बहती संस्कारों की धारा भारत माँ की सेवा में गीता परिवार हमारा गीता परिवार हमारा ईश्वर भक्ति भाव से बहती संस्कारों की धारा भारत माँ की सेवा में गीता परिवार हमारा गीता परिवार हमारा संस्कृति का वैभव जग में सबसे न्यारा
जय भारत माँ जय गीता माँ जय भारत माँ जय गीता माँ
भारतीय संस्कृति का वैभव जग में सबसे न्यारा ज्ञान और विज्ञान यहीं से सबने पाया सारा, सबने पाया सारा। कुछ भूलों से हारा फिर से जीते देश हमारा, गीता परिवार हमारा, गीता परिवार हमारा।
जय भारत माँ, जय गीता माँ, जय भारत माँ, जय गीता माँ।
त्यागशील सेवा व्रतधारी युवा जगे पुरुषार्थी,
जय भारत माँ, जय गीता माँ, जय भारत माँ, जय गीता माँ।
त्यागशील सेवा व्रतधारी युवा जगे पुरुषार्थी, वैज्ञानिकता विनय सभ्यता स्वभाव हो निस्वार्थी, स्वभाव हो निस्वार्थी। देशभक्ति में तेजस्वी हो फिर समाज यह सारा, गीता परिवार हमारा, गीता परिवार हमारा।
जय भारत माँ, जय गीता माँ, जय भारत माँ, जय गीता माँ।
शिवाजी बुद्ध गगन के तारे,
जय भारत माँ, जय गीता माँ, जय भारत माँ, जय गीता माँ।
महावीर गोविंद शिवाजी बुद्ध गगन के तारे, परंपरा की पुण्य चेतना उर में हम सब धारे, उर में हम सब धारे। बाल हृदय में उसे जगाकर जगे देश यह सारा, गीता परिवार हमारा, गीता परिवार हमारा।
जय भारत माँ, जय गीता माँ, जय भारत माँ, जय गीता माँ।
सारी दुर्बलता को राष्ट्र समर्थ बनाओ,
जय भारत माँ, जय गीता माँ, जय भारत माँ, जय गीता माँ।
त्यागो सारी दुर्बलता को राष्ट्र समर्थ बनाओ, बंधु भाव समता ममता से सबको गले लगाओ, सबको गले लगाओ। चलो विवेकानंद मार्ग पर शुभ संदेश हमारा, गीता परिवार हमारा, गीता परिवार हमारा। ईश्वर भक्ति भाव से बहती संस्कारों की धारा, भारत माँ की सेवा में गीता परिवार हमारा, गीता परिवार हमारा, गीता परिवार हमारा, गीता परिवार हमारा, गीता परिवार। संस्थापकं वीरम् कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुम्। ईश्वर भक्ति भाव से बहती संस्कारों की धारा, भारत माँ की सेवा में गीता परिवार हमारा, गीता परिवार हमारा। ईश्वर भक्ति भाव से बहती संस्कारों की धारा, भारत माँ की सेवा में गीता परिवार हमारा, गीता परिवार हमारा।
जय भारत माँ, जय गीता माँ, जय भारत माँ, जय गीता माँ।
भारतीय संस्कृति का वैभव जग में सबसे न्यारा।
जय भारत माँ, जय गीता माँ, जय भारत माँ, जय गीता माँ।
भारतीय संस्कृति का वैभव जग में सबसे न्यारा।
Jai Shri Krishna. Scripture says that it is a very rare person who perceives the marvel of the soul. Rather, it is more common for some who, even after hearing of it, know nothing of it. Last week, in the second part of chapter 2, we learned that it is only after birth that a human being is manifest, and that before birth and after death, he is unmanifest. Therefore, the message was that we should not waver in doing our duty while we have a chance to accomplish our life's mission. On behalf of Geeta Pariwar, I welcome you all to discover what the third part of the second chapter, Sankhya Yoga, has got to unveil. Seeking His presence among us and to ask the blessings of the Almighty, I invite Savita Shukla ji. Savita Shukla ji, a homemaker from Bhopal, joined Geeta Pariwar in January 2023 and now volunteers as tech assistant. Welcome, Savita Didi.
जय श्री कृष्ण। सभी को जय श्री कृष्ण। ईश्वर की कृपा से आज मुझे मौका मिला है। मैं प्रारंभिक प्रार्थना बोल रही हूँ। वसुदेवसुतं देवं कंसचाणूरमर्दनं देवकी परमानन्दं कृष्णौ वन्दे जगद्गुरुम्। श्री कृष्ण वंदे जगद्गुरुम्। श्री कृष्ण वंदे जगद्गुरुम्। जय श्री कृष्ण।
Shri Krishna, thank you, Savita Didi, for the melodious prayer. It is inspiring to hear this quote. I put my heart and soul into my work and have lost my mind in the process. To enlighten us with the light of knowledge, I call upon Shrikant Sharma ji to light the lamp for us. Shrikant Sharma, BE Mechanical from Bilaspur, ex-GM-CIL, presently serves as co-trainer in Geeta Pariwar. Welcome, Shrikant Bhaiya.
निषिद्धैरप्येभिर्लुलितमकरन्दो मधुकरैः करैरिन्दोरन्तश्छुरित इव सम्भिन्नमुकुलः विधत्तां सिद्धिन्नो नयनसुभगामस्य सदसः प्रकीर्णः पुष्पाणां हरिचरणयोरञ्जलिरयम् शरदिन्दुनिभां शुभ्रां शुभ्रवस्त्रैरलङ्कृतां कलहंसकृतावासां वरदां शारदां नुमः।
Thank you, Shrikant Bhaiya. We invite sadhaks to share the Vivechan links, Zoom and YouTube, to friends and relatives to spread this divine message and to motivate them to register and embark on a transformative journey of spiritual knowledge. The moment we are waiting for has arrived. He imparts a plethora of perspectives and knowledge through his commentary. Senior trainer Vikas Vaidya, Bachelor of Mechanical Engineering based in Pune, owns a small IT company. He is proficient in 6 languages. Over the last 5 years, he has been reciting the whole Bhagavad Gita daily. He serves as trainer and selects and trains trainers. He also teaches and conducts Vivechan sessions as a member of Pune Geeta Pariwar. He guides Geeta Vratis for the Śrīmad-Bhagavadgītā Geeta exam and has himself given Geeta Kantastha exam at Śrīmad-Bhagavadgītā, for which he was awarded the first prize at the hands of P.P. Jagadguru Shankaracharya. It is a privilege to welcome you, respected Vikas Ji Vaidya.
जय श्री कृष्ण। बुद्ध स्वामी जी के चरण कमलों में कोटि कोटि नमन। We are discussing अध्याय 2, अध्याय 2, सांख्य योगा. We have completed 2 sessions and we have completed up to श्लोक number 21 last time. वेदा विनाशिनं नित्यं य एनमजमव्ययं कथं स पुरुषः पार्थ कङ्घातयति हन्तिकम्. Let us continue further. So Paramatma is giving an interesting example about body and soul. वासांसि जीर्णानि यथा विहाय नवानि गृह्णाति नरोपराणि तथा शरीराणि विहाय जीर्णान्यन्यानि संयाति नवानि देहि. Look number 22. Paramatma says, Vasansi jirnani. Vasansi, the clothes. Jirnani, the worn out. Yatha, just as Vihaya. Vihaya is to give up, to change. Navani, Navani is new, new garments. Grhnati, to accept. Aparani, others. Sharirani, Sharirani is bodies. Vihaya, to give up. Jirnani, something which is old, torn out, useless. Anyani, Anyani is different. Sanyati, to really accept that. Navani is new. We have seen that Dehi is the embodied people like us. So Paramatma says, as we abandon worn out clothes and acquire new ones, so when the body is worn out, a new one is acquired by the self, by the Atma, by the Dehi, who lives within us. So Vasamsi Jirnani means worn out clothes. See, in those times when the Gita was said by Lord Krishna, people owned a few clothes, only as much as essential, unlike in the modern times when we are buying out of every visit to malls, whether we need it or we don't need it. We go to the mall and come back with bagfuls of shopping that we do, whether we need or we don't need. So people had limited possessions in those days as they did not indulge in hoarding. See, possessing more than required is a sign of greed. In my childhood, I might have got 3 or 4 pants or 3 or 4 shirts. Now today children have 10 times of that. Possessing objects just for the sake of ownership is a malady of modern man and women. People are obsessed with amassing wealth, amassing and hoarding objects. And really speaking, how much wealth is required for 2 squares a mile, 2 squares a meal? We need 2 square meals per day, isn't it? So how much wealth do we need for those 2 meals? And even those who have enough wealth that they can have the feast also, not only square meals, but they can have the feast every day, they are also still running and amassing wealth. People at the age of 70 and 80, they still don't want to hand over their business to their children. In this shloka, Shri Krishna is saying to Arjuna that just as worn out clothes are discarded and you put on new garments, likewise, when your body gets old and worn out, it gets discarded and a new body is acquired. See how happy we are to get new clothes. That is why you give away the old clothes to the needy people and then you put on new clothes. Similarly, when your body gets old, worn out, Prakriti takes away the old body, the worn out body, and in due course of time, Prakriti gives you a new body. So it's the question of complaining and grieving. See, now we may say that it is all right that an old, worn out body gets discarded. Fine, okay, understood. This concept is understood. And this is valid for Bhishmacharya, Dronacharya, Krupacharya, who were already old. But the likes of Duryodhana, Dushasana, Karna, they were all young and healthy. Their bodies are not worn out. So why an attempt is made to take away their bodies by waging a war against them? When the war breaks, weapons don't discriminate between old and young. Hence, anyone can get killed, whether his body is worn out or is not worn out. Isn't it? So, what is the reason? Yes, there is a reason behind taking away the bodies of the likes of Duryodhana. When a part of body, says a finger or a toe, or indeed the entire hand or the entire leg gets damaged or infected, as it happens in case of gangrene, the doctor has no option but to cut off that body part. Otherwise, the infection can spread and the whole body may die, isn't it? Similarly, the minds of the likes of Duryodhana had become so diseased that there was no alternative but to take away their diseased minds. And hence, body, as it is intricately linked to the mind, isn't it? Body is intricately, you cannot take out the mind separately. Not possible, no? So Shri Krishna also had tried to change their mind, not that he did not try. Several attempts were made by even Shri Krishna to instill some sense in Duryodhana to avoid the war. But each time Duryodhana had failed to understand. Neither did Karna. Bhishma, Dronacharya, Krupacharya were also bound by their obligation to Duryodhana, so they had no choice but to go along with him. So everybody was helpless because Duryodhana did not want to rethink. Had Duryodhana given up his insistence, or had Karna made some efforts to convince Duryodhana, this war of Mahabharata would not have happened. When Duryodhana heard that Sri Krishna was coming as a messenger of peace from Pandava's side, he got so angry that he asked his guards to arrest Krishna. He went to that extent, to arrest Krishna. But then Krishna was Krishna, Lord of Maya. He cast such a spell on the soldiers that they could not see him. All they could see was a ball of ethereal light. That's all they could see. So nobody could catch Krishna. Let us continue with slok number 23. Paramatma says further, Nainai chindanti shastrani nainam dahati pavakaha na chainam kleidayantyaapo na shoshayati marutaha. Further, Paramatma says, Nainai chindanti shastrani nainam dahati pavakaha na chainam kleidayantyaapo na shoshayati marutaha. No, no is never, not. Enam means this. This is what? This soul. Chindanti, something which can be cut into pieces. Shastrani is weapons. Enam is the soul. Dahati is to burn. Pavaka is fire, Agni. Kledayanti, to become wet, to become moist. Shoshayati, to dry out. Maruta is wind. So Paramatma says, Atma can neither be cut into pieces by any weapon, nainai chandanti shastrani, nor can it be scorched by fire. Can it burn by fire? No, fire cannot burn it. Nainan dahati pavaka. Na chainam kledayanti neither dampened by water. Na shoshayati maruta. Maruta is wind, so it cannot be desiccated, dried up by wind. So who and what are you really worried for? Rebirth is inevitable. The vast number of desires lurking in your mind will propel you into another birth. And it is undebatable, incontroversial. The force of all your worldly desires will ensure that you are born again. Furthermore, the desires may not necessarily be related to the material world. It may be related to your spiritual evolution. Then it can be the desire of yoga, awakening of kundali, attainment of samadhi, desire to become a devotee, desire to fully understand Vedanta. After all, is this all possible in one lifetime? Very difficult, may not be possible. So here Bhagavad Gita says that body will be discarded, but no problem, you will get a new body. Now we may think that it is reassuring that we will get a new body. Very good, good news. But what about our buddhi, our intellect? Will we have the same level of intellect which we have developed with our spiritual sadhana in this life? We have been reading and understanding Gita for last 10, 20 years, and we have attained certain level of intellectual maturity. When the body changes, what happens to this intellectual level that we have earned in this life? The answer is in a simple example. See, if you are painting a picture, imagine you are painting a picture, after a while you get tired. The painting is not yet finished, but you are so tired that you need some rest. So you go to sleep for a few hours. Then you wake up refreshed and get back hurriedly to finish your incomplete painting. Now, will you commence where you had left painting that picture, or whether will you take a new blank canvas and start all over again? Obviously, you will pick up where you had left the incomplete painting, isn't it? Likewise, at whatever stage of spiritual evolution your body got discarded, you will commence your spiritual growth in the next birth from that point when it halted the spiritual sadhana and the body died. Body got the Sukshma Sharir left your body. If you have climbed, say, 2 steps on the ladder of spiritual sadhana, then you'll start from 3rd step onwards in your next life and not from 0. We have discussed this guarantee from Lord Krishna when Lord Krishna has explained to us in the 6th Adhyay, Atma Sanyam Yoga. पार्थ नैवेह नामुत्र विनाशस्तस्य विद्यते नहि कल्याणकृत कश्चित् दुर्गतिं तात गच्छति प्राप्य पुण्यकृतान् लोकान् निषित्वा शाश्वती समाः शुचीनां श्रीमतांगेः योग भ्रष्टो भी जायते. So slok 40 to 45 in 6th Adhyay Atma Sanyam Yoga give a guarantee to us. This explains that whatever good karma we do in this life never goes waste. Another thing is certain, that the sadhak will never be born into such a family where he does not get an environment conducive for his spiritual upliftment. We are all fortunate that we have started marching on the path of Bhagavad Gita and Moksha. Next birth, we are guaranteed to get a family where we will continue this spiritual sadhana. We will not be born in some Tom, Dick, Harry's family. We will get a good family, guaranteed by Krishna in 6th Adhyay, and now also. So such a sadhak devotee will not be born in a family where indulgence in liquor or womanizing is a normal way of life. In fact, Gita vouches that the seeker, the devotee, shall always be reborn in a righteous, spiritually inclined family. Death is the nature of body. Hence, don't worry about it, Krishna says. It is identification with the body which is the reason why you regard the death of body as your own death. And as long as you regard body as your identity, you will be unable to experience the meaning of this shloka of Bhagavad Gita. This says, death cannot touch you, who you really are. You are the soul, you are the Atma, and death cannot touch Atma. This shloka is commonly read in all Hindu families whenever there is a death in the family. A Pandit is called and he reads the death related shlokas. This means these shlokas are read only at the time of somebody's death, not otherwise. Moreover, who listens to Pandit's recitation when he is reciting these shlokas when the dead body is lying there? Is the dead body listening? Not possible, no? Relatives are listening. The relatives are so gripped by such intense grief that they are in no state of mind to listen. And other friends, relatives, guests who have come for mourning, are they listening? They are engaged in their own talks. So who is listening all this? Sri Krishna is asking Arjuna who he is worried for. And we should also ask this question to ourselves. Whom we are really worried for? Our friends and relatives' bodies or our own body? Well, these bodies are going to die anyway. Bodies are perishable. It is inevitable. And as far as you are concerned, you in inverted commas, there is nothing to worry about. Because this you is immortal, eternal, everlasting, indestructible. So what are we worried about? And as we discussed in last session, we have changed millions of times this body. So this is going to change one more time. Whatever has happened millions of times, we should not be surprised about it when it happens once more. Isn't it? So don't grieve. Krishna is again repeatedly telling Arjuna, don't grieve for these bodies. Bodies are perishable. You are imperishable. Atma is imperishable, what you really are. Okay, let us continue to the slok number 24, which is also on the similar lines. Achedyo yamadayo yam akledyo shosha evacho nitya sarvagata sthanu rachalo yam sanatana. Further, Paramatma says, Achedyo yamadayo yam akledyo shosha evacho nitya sarvagata sthanur achalo yam sanatana. Achedya, unbreakable. Ayam is this soul. Vadayam, unable to burn. Akledya, cannot be weighted, cannot be made moist. Ashosha, cannot be dried up. Nitya, everlasting. Sarvagata, all pervading. Sthanu, unchangeable. Achala, immovable. And Sanatana, eternally the same. The Lord Krishna says, Atma cannot be pierced or cleaved. It cannot be burned. It cannot be weighted. And it cannot be dried either. The Atma is eternal, immortal, everlasting, all-pervading, and always the same. There is no vikar, no change in the Atma, no modification in the Atma. Atma is impenetrable. Now, even if someone pierces a knife in our body, know that it is not penetrating you. But it will be able to remember this knowledge that you are not this body, but you are that Atma, which cannot be pierced. At such trying moments, when this really happens in our life, can we remember this knowledge? When the body is undergoing intense pain of somebody piercing the knife in the body, can we remember this knowledge? Very difficult. Because as long as there is attachment to the body, you will be unable to apply this knowledge in your day-to-day life. That is why just reading or listening to these shlokas is not enough. Meditate, meditate, and meditate even more, so that you will get the experience of being separate from the body. This is a matter of experiencing, not reading or not listening. You need to practically experience this theoretical knowledge. Getting theoretical knowledge is good, But to put it in practical things is more essential, and that can come through meditation only. Then the difference between Atma and body becomes distinctly clear when we enter into meditation. Body is destructible, penetratable, but Atma is indestructible, insoluble, unbreakable. It can neither be burned or it cannot be dried. Atma is free of all afflictions, because these melodies of afflictions are limited to the mind. See, there are 5 mental afflictions: raga, dvesha, abhinivesha, parigraha, and avidya. Raga. What is raga? Raga is commonly taken as attachment, but it means much more than that. It means that you have forgotten your real identity and you hold on to your body tightly, regarding it as I, and everything and everyone related to this body as mine, mine, mine. This clinging to your own body so very tightly is raga. You are attached not to any you are attached not to anyone but your own body. This is raga. What is dvesh? Dvesh literally means aversion or revulsion. But if you go deeper into it, dvesh means running away from your own self. You get close to what you are not, that means our body, and you run away from what you really are, that means your soul. This is rag and dvesh in ourselves, and we should get rid of this rag and dvesh. Abhinivesh. What is abhinivesh? Abhinivesh is the desire to leave, and parigraha is the tendency to hold, to accumulate, to amass more and more. That is parigraha. And the 5th mental affliction is avidya. This is the subtlest and the root cause of all other mental afflictions. Presence of avidya, avidya means ignorance, leads to attachment, aversion, hoarding, desire to live. Everything gets emanated from this avidya, from this ignorance. So when you really start experiencing after years of meditation that you are not body, and irrespective of whether the body lives or dies, there is no change in my essential nature, that means the Atma, which I am really, then will there be any desire to live? When you know that Atma is not going to die, then will there be any desire to live? The enlightened one is neither elated with the prospect of living hundreds of years, nor get distressed if his body were to drop the next moment. He is safe in both situations, because he knows that what is born and dies is the body, not the soul. Sri Krishna says that not only is that Atma immortal, eternal, but also all pervasive and indivisible. Jiva keeps wandering, driven by anger, lust, greed, and whatnot. But Atma is steadfastly established, unmoving, has neither birth nor death, neither merit or demerit, no heaven, no hell, coming, going, no. So these are the characteristics of Atma. Paramatma is explaining in different words again. Vasamsa jirnani, nainan chindanti shastrani, achedyo yamadayoyam. Principally telling the same. Body is perishable, Atma is not. We are soul, not body. We are imperishable, we are not perishable. Let us proceed on to slok number 25. Avyakto yamachintyo yam avikaryo yamuchyate tasmadevam viditvaina nanushochitumarhasi. Further, Paramatma says, Avyakto yamachintyo yam avikaryo yamuchyate tasmadevam viditvaina nanushochitu marhasi. What does it mean? Avyakta. Avyakta is invisible, unmanifested. Ayam is this soul. Achintya, inconceivable. Avikarya, unchangeable, no modification in it. Uchyate is said. Tasmat, therefore, that's why. Evam, like this. Viditva, knowing it well. Enam is the soul. Anushochati arhasi. Anushochati, to grieve, to lament. Arhasi, you deserve. So it is not correct. Paramatma says that Atma is inexpressible. It is avyakta, incomprehensible, achintya, immutable, and without afflictions. Therefore, Arjuna, knowing this Atma as it really is, it is not appropriate for you to grieve. Arjuna is seeing Krishna's body. Krishna is sitting in front of him, driving his chariot. So Arjuna is having a look at Krishna's body and listening to his words. That Atma is indestructible, eternal, all-pervasive. So what Lord Krishna is explaining is that his body is also destructible, mortal. The body of Sri Krishna, which Arjuna and everyone else could see, did not exist before his birth, isn't it? And it does not exist today. Can we see Krishna today in body form, manifested form? Cannot. Remember, whatever is manifest is a part of Prakriti. Then whether it is a body of Sri Ram, whether it is a body of Sri Krishna, whether it is a body of Buddha or anyone else, so long as they are under Prakriti, they become perishable. They are all an integral part of the Prakriti. Parabrahma, on the other hand, is invisible, inexpressible, and unmanifest. In effect, Lord Shri Krishna is saying to Arjuna that know that I am unmanifest in reality. I am indefinable. Shri Krishna wants Arjuna to understand that he too is unmanifest, as everyone else is. Then be it Duryodhana, be it Bhima, be it Bhishma, or Duryodhana, Krupacharya, Dronacharya, anybody. All that is manifest, visible, tangible, is going to perish one day. Because that is part of Prakriti. Atma is unmanifest. That which cannot be grasped, achintya, objected by senses. No, eyes cannot see it, ears cannot hear it, isn't it? So it is beyond senses, achintya. And that what is not perceptible to senses, Atma is beyond the comprehension. Contemplation of mind. Atma cannot become the subject of sense understanding. It is beyond that. Indriyatit. It is Indriyatit. Now see the paradox of this achintya. If the mind does make an attempt to reflect upon Atma, if you go into meditation and start thinking about Atma, 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 soul, 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 after reading so many shlokas of Bhagavad-Gītā, eventually a time will come when the mind simply gets stumped, dumbfolded, cannot go further. This means sheer thoughtlessness occurs in the mind. Beyond that, the mind cannot think. Mind becomes thoughtless. And this very thoughtlessness, the realization of who you really are, dawns upon you, starts getting clearer to you. So you think and think and think, and you don't understand what is soul. And when the thinking ceases, the light of Atma starts sparkling. Wonderful, no? One more thing. Sages have always been asking to meditate upon God. And here, Shri Krishna is categorically saying that mind cannot contemplate on what is beyond contemplation, achintya, beyond comprehension. Then what should we do? What should we contemplate upon? Were the sages telling a lie? No, they were not telling lie. When they ask you to contemplate, they are asking you to withdraw the senses and the mind from the external world and internalize it. And as you go deeper and deeper in this process of internalizing, the mind becomes quieter and quieter. Why mind is having disturbances? Because it is getting attracted to the material world. When you withdraw it from material world and start internalizing it, the mind becomes quieter and quieter. And then finally a stage comes when the mind becomes one-pointedly still and completely thoughtless. This is contemplation. This is meditation. And this is the remembrance. Simply repeating Ram Jai Ram, Shri Ram Jai Ram, Jai Ram, or Shri Krishna Jai Krishna, Shri Krishna Jai Krishna, or any other name or mantra for that matter, is not real remembrance. The mantra chanting should be done with such sincerity and devotion that by continually repeating the Lord's name, there comes a stage when the mind simply flies away. And in the absence of mind, the presence of Lord gets revealed. That's why people say that when you do Nama Japa with a mala in your hand, the mind is still active, no? Mind is still thinking, how many mala I have done, how many beads I have already counted. So mind is thinking that, and less about the name that you are really want to chant. If you want to make mind thoughtless and then see the Lord, mind has to become thoughtless. And once you have known this inconceivable, eternal, unchangeable Atma, is it then appropriate to grieve for the changeable and destructible body? Irrespective of whether these bodies are of Bhishma, Dronacharya, or indeed anybody else, they get destroyed, the Atma will still remain its essential nature of immutability and immortality. So why grieve? And what for, Krishna says? There is no question of grieving at all. But you do grieve. You do suffer. And you know why? Because of ignorance. And as long as there is ignorance, suffering is inevitable. Attachment, aversion, desire to live, fear of death, they will all keep you inflicting on your mind, and they will all keep inflicting sorrow. But no sooner than you see yourself as being separate from body, mind, and intellect, at the end, that is the end of all your sufferings. Can we give a serious thought to this and meditate on this single? But simply memorizing and repeating, I am Atma, I am Atma, I am Atma, and Atma is eternal, Atma is indestructible, Atma is unchangeable, without first-hand experience, then that theoretical knowledge is of no use. On the contrary, it can be dangerous, because all half-baked knowledge is always dangerous. For example, an alcoholic or a murderer or a womanizer, he can conveniently use this shloka and say that it will serve his purpose. He will say, I am not doing any of these things. I am not the body. But such a sinner in the heart is still identified with his body. He knows his body is enjoying all this. He may be verbally saying that I am not body, but he has not understood that concept so well that it has got imbibed in his mind. He is telling you a lie. And the doer will never escape the punishment. That is why Gita is to be studied and understood carefully. Better to learn explanation from an enlightened master like our Pujya Swamiji. We should do deliberation, contemplation on God's words. Merely reading Gita is of not much use. People may misuse it. Purity of mind and intense dispassion. These are the two prerequisites of contemplation on Gita. Purity of mind and intense dispassion. Then only such useless questions will not be raised. They are the objective. And this is absolutely essential in order to comprehend this profound knowledge of Bhagavad Gita. Purity of mind and intense dispassion. And Arjuna fulfills these requirements. Standing on the battlefield of Kurukshetra with all his desires, including his desire to live, had evaporated. He has said in the beginning of this adhyaya that I will prefer to die, even at the hands of Duryodhana. And he had no complaint on getting killed even at the hands of Duryodhana. Arjuna was an image of total dispassion. The Gita is for people like Arjuna, who have purity of mind and intense dispassion. For others like us, there are still other ways, because we are still gripped under the grip of, say, greed, lust, attachment. So for us, initially there are some other paths also, like going to pilgrimage. The one who is greedy, he needs to do charity and remove his greed. The egoistic, he needs to learn the lessons in humility and compassion by servicing others, doing seva. The one with an unstable mind needs to learn the technique of pranayama to make his mind stable. And the one whose mind is afflicted needs to learn the worship, upasana. Those who cannot manage any of these things, they need to do yajna. But if someone is not even able to do yajna, he should start by sweeping the temple. झाड़ू तो लगा सकते हैं ना कम से कम. Clean the yajna bhumi or clean the temple. At least that much we can do. There is a path for everyone in Sanatan Dharma, in Hindu Dharma, depending upon one's caliber and inclination. Where to make the beginning? Decide on your own caliber, your own inclination. If we are at the bottommost, start from sweeping the temple. That is also a good beginning. That also will give good mental peace. You have to make yourself eligible for receiving this highest knowledge of Bhagavad Gita. And there are practices for all levels of the spiritual aspirants. For the beginners, there is yajna, tapa, dana, vrata. These are also important steps for inner upliftment and purification of mind and heart. The more advanced practices include listening, reflecting, contemplating, and then being established in an uninterrupted contemplation, which leads to stillness of mind and ultimately samadhi. This profound knowledge has to become a part of your life. Else, it just remains at intellectual exercise. I know so many things. Okay, why you know so many things? Have you tried to put it in practice, that knowledge that you have? Only listening or only increasing your intellectual level doesn't serve the total purpose. So just knowing it does not change your life for better. By performing all these practices, eventually the veil of ignorance will get lifted from your mind, and you will then realize, I am that what I was looking for, that which I was so desperately searching for. So that is Atma Dhyan. That you will get when you will try to put all these messages of Lord Krishna in practice through meditation. You are Parabrahma. In fact, even this statement is not 100% correct. Either you say you or Parabrahma, because both are same, not separate. The truth is, I, you, and it are synonymous with Parabrahma. There is no distinction, no separation. So this thought comes to you when you reach that state of samadhi. Okay, let us proceed further. Slok number 26. अथ चैनं नित्यजातं नित्यं वा मन्यसे मृतं तथापि त्वं महाबाहो नैवं शोचितुमर्हसि. Further, Paramatma says, now Paramatma is changing the track. He says, Atha, if enam is this soul, nityajatam, that means always take birth. Paramatma earlier said, it is aja, it does not take birth. Now he says, nityajatam. Okay, let us assume that this soul takes nityajatam, always take birth. Nityam, forever. Va is either manyase. Manyase means if you think. Mritam, dead. Tatha api, even then. Tatha api, tvam, you, Mahabaho, the mighty armed Arjuna, no, never, enam, about this soul, shochitum, should not become sad, should not grieve about it. So, Paramatma says, despite all this, that Naina Chindali Shastrani, Nainandhari Pavaka, all that Paramatma has said, despite all this, even if you think, Arjuna, that Atma takes birth and it dies like the body, you still have no reason to grieve. O mighty armed Arjuna, Mahabaho. Here Shri Krishna is presenting another perspective to Arjuna, taking another approach. In earlier shlokas, Lord Shri Krishna had said to that grief-stricken Arjuna how it is the body that dies and how Atma is immortal, eternal. Now here Shri Krishna says that for a moment, if one assumes that Atma also perishes, grieving is still not appropriate, is still uncalled for. The utensils made from clay are prone to breakage, isn't it? No surprise there at all. Do we get shocked when we see the clay pot getting broken somewhere? Because it is likely to get broken. Likewise, this body is too perishable and that it is inevitable to end one day. So why mourn for that which is irrevocable fact? It should be the other way around. It should be the other way around. Be amazed that it is still alive. The clay pot is still not broken even after 60, 70, 80 years. So get amazed that the clay pot is still intact, not broken. There was a Jain master, his name was Bokuju. Every morning, he would shout his name loudly and he will ask, Bokuju, are you there? And then he himself would reply back saying that, yes, master, I'm there. Enlightened masters, they regard their body, mind, intellect as the tools given by Paramatma, by Prakriti for spiritual sadhana, and then they express their gratitude every day that the tools are still intact. The clay pot is still not broken, and they express their gratitude to Paramatma by doing this. See, grief is only as long as you are attached to your body. For it is this bodily attachment which gives rise to the attachments who are related to that body. Due to ignorance, we regard this body as I. And once this I appears, it is soon followed by mine. I and mine are intimately linked to each other. This I and mine are the source of grief and misery. It is your ego which says that those who belong to you should do as you say. Your wife, your children should do what you say, what you expect from them. And when this does not happen, you suffer. And then we keep constantly searching for something in the life, as if something is missing in the life. We constantly keep searching, no? Because we are not all happy mentally. We keep searching for something in life. Just say we can get peace of mind. Each one of us is searching for something in life. But what is that we are searching for? What we are seeking? A small story. There were two boys, Hridaya and Laksha. Hridaya and Laksha. They were two very mischievous friends. They were both in the 5th standard and used to go to school every day. One day when the school was over, this Laksha was more mischievous of the two. He said to his friend Hridaya, listen, I have an idea. What is that? Tell me. His friend Hridaya, he asked him. Laksha said, look, there are 3 goats grazing there. Can you see them? He said, yes, I can see 3 goats. So what is that you have in mind? Laksha said, today we'll stay back after the school, and after everyone leaves, we will get hold of these 3 goats and leave them inside the school. Tomorrow when the school opens, everyone will waste their time in searching for the goats and we won't have the study. No class, because everyone is searching for the goats. There his friend said, but finding such big goats inside the school is not a difficult task. They will find them quickly and then everyone will be back to the normal. Then people will say, okay, go to the class. So your idea may not work. It's not workable. Laksha says, that is the point. They won't be able to find them so easily. Just watch what I am doing now. And after this, both the friends continued to sit on their class on the pretext that they are still studying after the school time. When everyone left the premises, they caught hold of those 3 goats and brought them inside the class. They made a black circle on the back of those goats, and Laksha said, now I'll put the numbers on these goats. So what he did, he started writing the number in white color, black circle and white color writing the name. Number 1 on the first goat, number 2 on the second goat, and number 4 on the third goat. Number 4. Hey, what are you doing 4? This number, goat number 3. Why you put number 4? His friend asked him, Hridaya. So Laksha laughed and he said, friend, that is my great idea. Now here tomorrow, everyone spent whole day searching for that goat numbered 3. And no one will find out because that goat does not exist. Goat number 3 does not exist. Next day, both the friends reached the school a little before time. And within no time, there was a noise that there are goats inside the school. Somebody was heard shouting, there are 4 goats. The first, second and fourth goats I have found. Now we have to find only the third goat. all the staff members of the school looking for goat number 3. The teachers went down each class searching thoroughly. The school building was big. Some daring ones even went up to the terrace in search of goat number 3. Many of the senior students were also engaged in this work to find goat number 3. A lot of effort was made to find that goat number 3, but the goat could only be found if it actually existed. That day, everyone was worried except Laksha and Hridaya. They knew what had happened. They both had never been so happy before in their life. That our trick has worked so well. After all, that day they had made a goat invisible with their cleverness. Now it is natural for us to smile when we listen to this story. But along with this smile, we must also understand a hidden message in this story. The third goat, in fact, there are things which we are desperate to find, but we never find them because they don't exist. We want an ideal life without problems, which does not exist. Goat number 3. We want a life partner who understands us completely, with whom we never have a rift, which never exists. Goat number 3. We want such a business or job in which everything runs smoothly and perfectly, which never exists. Goat number 3. So it is necessary to be worried about something all the time. Are we searching for that goat number 3 all the while in our life? It may be possible that whatever we have in our lives is enough to make our life complete. But we unnecessarily think that goat number 3 is missing. It is all possible that the third thing we are looking for may not exist in reality. And what we really are is perfect already. So forget the past. Live in the present to the fullest, and the future will shine on its own. Don't start searching for something which really does not exist. Be clear what you want in life and search only that. Don't search something which is not known to you also, which is not possible also, which does not exist also. Okay, let us proceed to shlok number 27. तातस्य हि ध्रुवो मृत्युर्ध्रुवै जन्ममृतस्य च तस्माद् परिहार्येऽर्थे न त्वं शोचितुमर्हसि. Now Paramatma is saying the same thing. That jatasya hi dhruva mrityurdhruva janmamritasya cha. Dhruva means certain. Fact. It is a fact. Jatasya. One who has taken the birth. Dhruva, a fact is mrityu, death. Dhruvam, it is also a fact. Janma is birth, we know. Tasmat, therefore, apariharya. Something which is unavoidable. Arthe, in this matter, shochitum arhasi. No reason to be sad about this. The Paramatma says, because death is sure for that which is born, jatasya hi dhruvam mrityur janmamritasya cha. So similarly, even the birth of the dead is certain. Therefore, you should not grieve for something which is unavoidable, inevitable. In this shloka, what is explaining the irrationality of grieving for the inevitable change, which is the universal law of the world, Prakriti. And changelessness is the law of soul. So only the ignorant will grieve for the inevitable and not the wise one. Karma bandhan, the bondage of action, is the cause of birth and death. Karma bandhan means, despite knowing that certain actions should not be performed, but we still perform them due to greed, lust, or attachment. Therefore, the vicious circle of birth and death continues because of karma bandhan. To become actionless is near impossibility. God himself has said, Nahi kaschit kshanamapi jatu tishtatya karma krut. The man's body or mind cannot remain without performing karma even for a single moment. Therefore, there appears to be no escape route because karma cannot be avoided and karma are putting under the bandhan, bondage. But Geeta has a way out. Geeta says, Nishkam karma and surrendering the results of your karma action to the God are the ways to get rid of this cycle of birth and death. We discussed in last session the necessity of removing those two poisonous teeth. Which two poisonous teeth? One poisonous tooth was karma phala expectation, and second poisonous tooth was kartatva, abhiman, the sense of doership. To make karma presentable to the God, we have to remove these two poisonous teeth. And certainly the determined and devoted people succeed in this pursuit. Now let us discuss one more important aspect, since we are talking of birth and rebirth and all sorts of things. Children they come from their parents. This is a fact. Children are given birth by their parents. Fine. Khalil Gibran has said that children are born from you, but they don't belong to you. Every child is on his own journey as a result of his desires and past samskars. Yes, it is true that the DNA makeup of the child comes from the parent. You can cross verify DNA of parents and child. It will confirm that he is a child of these parents, but not the mind. The mind has not been devised by parents. Yes, it would have been wonderful if they could design the child's mind as well. Then the child of an enlightened master would be born as enlightened person. But this is not the case. History is full of such examples. Even Lord Shri Krishna's children were incompetent. They fought each other to death in the Yadevi. Guru Nanak's sons were his most vehement detractors. His sons berated him for having passed on the Guru's seat, that is called Gadi, to his deserving disciple instead of to his sons. So the sons made his life miserable. In case of Guru Ramdas, his son Prithi Chand, he revolted against Guru Ramdas himself. And in fact, he caused the death of his brother Arjun Dev. The siblings of Sharda Devi, the spouse of Ramakrishna Paramahans, who was the Adhyatmic Guru of Swami Vivekananda, they were vicious and wicked and made the life of Sharda Devi miserable in her old age. That is why don't be under the delusion that the Guru's children will be just like him. Because the knowledge cannot be attained without individual efforts. For example, Nanda and Devaki, who raised Krishna, were they enlightened? Because they raised Krishna, they became enlightened. Were the gopis playing with Krishna got enlightened? Did Krishna's relatives, all of them, did they get liberation, moksha, just because they were Krishna's relatives? Arjuna alone got benefited. And even he did not attain supreme knowledge easily. Otherwise, why would Lord Krishna have to go on speaking for 18 adhyayas? He already has imparted the real knowledge in this second adhyay, Sankhya Yoga. Was there any need to say anything more than this? If Arjuna would have clearly understood all the shlokas of this adhyay that we have discussed in this session and earlier last two sessions, all his doubts about body, soul would have been clarified, isn't it? And he would have happily agreed to wage the war. But no, Sri Krishna continues to speak till 18th adhyay. And we are still only in second adhyay. Because he saw the clouds of confusion and ambiguity hanging on the mind of Arjuna. We need to learn Gita from the small incidences in our day-to-day life. This will help us in reaching our ultimate objective of the life. We need to learn the technique of rerouting our actions in our day-to-day life and our actions to reach our ultimate objective, ultimate destination of Atma-Dhyan, self-realization. Now, do you know any person who has never committed a mistake in his life? At least I don't know. A small story. I, along with my 15-year-old daughter, this happened a few years back, we went out on my scooter to visit one of her friend's house, my daughter's friend's house, on a Sunday afternoon. Neither of us, myself or my daughter, were familiar with the address of her friend's house. So my daughter, she entered her friend's address on the Google map in her mobile and guided me from behind. She was sitting behind me when I was driving the scooter. Soon we were faced with a dilemma. We reached a flyover. So whether to go over the flyover or take the service road. So we chose to take the flyover. A few minutes later, my daughter tapped me on my shoulder from the back and said, Daddy, we seem to be moving away from the destination. Earlier you were showing some time, now it is showing more time. I immediately stopped my scooter. We did not want to turn around because we were nearly down the flyover already by that time. But to our surprise, the Google Map app immediately rerouted and showed us a brand new route to our destination. And there we were, back on track with our ride. I drove, and my curious daughter, she inquired, Daddy, I wonder how this Google auntie never yells, condemns, or criticizes us when we happen to make a wrong turn. It never raises its voice, and it never says, you were supposed to take a left turn at the last crossing, but you idiot, you took the right turn. It never says like that. Or it never says, learn to pay attention to me when I'm talking. Listen to my instructions. Clear? Never says like that. Never raises its voice. Because if it did that, the chances are a lot of us might stop using that Google map, saying that, oh, this is very arrogant. We don't use Google. Instead, Google simply reroutes and shows us the next best way to get to our destination, totally ignoring the mistakes that we have done. Because its primary object interest lies in getting us to reach our destination, our goal, and not in making us feel bad for having made the mistakes. It's a great lesson. My daughter continued saying that, Daddy, is it possible for all of us to be as helpful as this Google auntie? Is it reasonable for us to expect the same kindness from those around us? What my daughter actually said made a lot of sense to me at that moment. And I learned a lesson that day, a very important lesson, that it is all too easy to take out our frustration, our anger on the individuals who have made a mistake, especially those who are near to us or whom we are familiar with. However, the wisest choice would be to help them, to aid them in fixing the problem and not to blame them, because indeed, in the end, we are all just walking each other home, helping each other in a lifelong journey to our ultimate destination. In spirituality, our ultimate destination is moksha. Now think, have you had any rerouting moment recently wherein you had such clarity of thoughts? Can we learn a lesson from this? Not to get angry even if people make mistakes around us. So from such small incidences in life also, we can get a lot of teachings which are in line with Bhagavad-Gītā. So we can correlate the incidences in our day-to-day life with some appropriate shloka of Bhagavad-Gītā. So it enriches our knowledge of Gita and it enriches our day-to-day life also. As Pujya Swamiji says, Gita padhe padhaye aur जीवन में लाए. This is the way to bring Gita in our day-to-day life. We make mistakes and learn from them, and that is all the part of the rich journey. Every thought and every action will contribute. That is what we should take the approach. Okay, let us continue with Shlok 28 now. Paramatma says, Avyaktadini bhutani vyaktamadhyani bharato avyaktanidhananyeva tatra ka paridevana. Further, Paramatma says, Avyaktadini bhutani. Avyakta adini. Avyakta is unmanifested. Unmanifested form is avyakta. Adini, in the beginning. Bhutani, all living beings. Vyakta. Vyakta is the manifested form which all of us can see. Madhyani, in the middle. Bharat. Bharat is for Arjuna, of course. Avyakta, unmanifested. Nidhanani. Nidhan is nidhan, dead, vanquished. Tatra, therefore, paridevana, sadness, grieving. Ka paridevana, why to become sad? Why to grieve? So Paramatma says, O Bharata, Arjuna, in the beginning, that means before birth, all beings, that means all embodied people, are unmanifested in the beginning before birth. It is only in the mid state that they are manifested. Again, in the end, after death of their body, they become unmanifested. Where is the reason, therefore, to grieve? Ka paridevana? See, all the five elements, Panchamabhuta, earth, water, fire, air, and space, have gross and subtle presence. Gross and subtle. The subtle facet is referred as Panchamatra, and the gross aspect is known as Panchamahabhuta. Likewise, the destruction of universe is nothing but reverting back elements to their subtle existence. The cycle of elements continues from formless to form and then again to formless. Sri Krishna is explaining to Arjuna, therefore, before this body is born, it existed as subtle formless elements, earth, water, air, fire, air, and space. With the birth, this body becomes visible, manifest, as the elements are in their gross form. Earlier they were in subtle form, so it was unmanifested. Now they are in their gross form, so they are manifested. But as soon as the body is cremated after death, it is reduced to handful of ash. The 5 or 6 foot tall person, the body is reduced to no more than a handful of ash and wish to get dispersed in water or in the earth. Then where is the body gone? The body which was weighing so much and height was so much, where it is gone? All that has happened is that the manifest, visible body has become unmanifest, invisible. This is the consequence of 5 elements that constitute our body returning to their unmanifested existence. So the elements and the body constituting of these elements is something gross, visible, manifest, and at other times it is subtle, invisible, and unmanifest. Then the question is, if only the form is changing from gross to subtle and subtle to gross, who is dying? Who dies then? And what dies? Only form has changed, no? Who has died then? Nothing. Nothing is the answer. Nothing has died. Nobody has died. All that occurs is the unification of these elements comprising the body with their universal counterpart. The air elements merges with the universal air, Panchamabhuta. The water elements with the universal water, another Panchamabhuta, and so on. Neither the 5 elements nor the subtle body, Sukshma Sharir, neither the 5 pranas nor the Atma, none of these die. The 5 prana which earlier existed in the body later exist outside the body. Likewise, the subtle body, Sukshma Sharir, what we discussed in the last session also, and the Jiva, which were earlier residing in the body, later leave the body. Sukshma Sharir and Jiva, they leave the body. And the Atma, eternal, immortal. So what is death then? So why keep crying and shedding tears? Only place of residence has changed. Another example is a wave arises in the 5 elements forming this body. This Panchamabhuta, imagine a wave appears, arises in these 5 elements forming the body, and later the wave subsides back into these 5 elements. This is like a wave arising in the ocean and then merges back in the ocean. So will you say that the water was born in the form of wave? Water was water. A wave is simply a form of water. Irrespective of whether waves are present or waves are absent, water remains water. Then what is the chest beating and crying for? Water is water. The 5 elements which were gross become subtle. Where is the question of crying then? Subtle is again going to become gross one day. Sri Krishna says, in the beginning, your body was unmanifest, then it became manifest in the interim, but it will again become unmanifest when it perishes. Manifestation of body is for a brief period of time, and you regard this interim occurrence as true and remaining everything as untrue. What is this? and grieve for it. My dear Arjuna, awaken and see through this illusion, this great lie. This is only the interim period of your jiva when the body is manifested. Rest of the time it is already unmanifested only. So understand this cycle, manifest, unmanifest, manifest, unmanifest, and don't grieve. Okay, we go to next sloka, 29. आश्चर्यवत् पश्यति कश्चिदेनम् आश्चर्यवद् वदति तथैव चान्यः आश्चर्यवच्चैनमन्यः शृणोति श्रुत्वाप्येनं वेद न चैव कश्चित्. Now another interesting shloka of Gita. Paramatma says Ashcharyavat as amazing. Pashyati, Pashyati is to see, to experience. Kashchit, Kashchit is someone. Ashcharyavat, again amazing. Shrunoti, Shrunati is to hear. Shrutva is to, Shrunati is to hear. Shrutva, having heard. Veda, Veda is to know. Kashchit, someone. So Paramatma says आश्चर्यवत् पश्यति कश्चिदेनम् आश्चर्यवदति चान्यः आश्चर्यवच्चैनम् अन्यः शृणोति श्रुत्वा पेनं वेद न चैव कश्चित्. Some persons, they see, it means they experience this soul as a wonder. Ashcharyavat paschati. Similarly, someone else talks about it as wonderstruck. Somebody hear it as a wonder. And some even hearing about it knows nothing about it. Vedana Kashchit. Nobody knows about it. They hear, they see, they experience, everything is happening. But still, nobody knows it, what exactly soul is. Some scholars, on the basis of bookish knowledge, and some other people, on the basis of hearsay, talk about the soul in various wondrous and wonderful ways. But the soul knowledge is rare, a very difficult achievement. Soul can never be understood by book or by verbal knowledge. It is a matter of deep devotion and ardent sadhana. Once known, it's always there. The knower becomes a Brahmajnani, the knower of all, one who knows the soul. The crux is seeing, listening, talking does not help in self-realization. God and Guru's blessings through sadhana is the only path. That is why God has said in 7th Adhyay, Manushyanam sahasreshu kashchidati siddhaye madhab siddhana kaschinma vet tattva. Only one among millions know me really. Even initially when Guru explains the meaning of this, I mean this Atma related shlokas, what we have been studying for last 2-3 sessions, the sadhak or the devotees go completely baffled. What is Nayanan Chindanti? What is Avyaktadini Bhutani? All that. And they get bewildered and find it difficult to grasp what somebody is explaining to us. See, our Guru who is explaining all this, in a small cup of our intellect is very small, no? Very limited. So in a small cup of intellect, the Guru is trying to pour an ocean of profound knowledge, supreme knowledge. And our limited intellect is unable to absorb it. So what is the way out? Read Gita every day. Do this contemplation of these shlokas every day. Then this small cup will become large and this ocean of knowledge will start trickling in our intellect slowly but surely. Slowly but surely. But it is heartening for us to know that we are not the only ones who have not understood what Atma is. Shri Krishna is sharing our amazement, saying that not many people, nobody knows what is Atma. So Krishna is with us. He says, yes, nobody knows. Don't worry. Don't feel bad. Only a handful of people listen to this knowledge, and further, even after listening, they still don't comprehend what is Atma, what is soul. We need to qualify ourselves first. We need to qualify first, and then the position, then the knowledge will come to us on its own. Without preparation, we are expecting we should have the knowledge. That's not possible, no? So we need to qualify ourselves first. What is qualify? A small story again. One rich man, he built a grand temple in the middle of the village. When the temple was ready, a large number of devotees started arriving at the temple every day to pray, to offer their prayers. Seeing the grandeur and beauty of the temple, The people started praising it all over. Kya temple hai, badhiya. With the passage of time, that temple becomes very popular. People from all over the places started arriving at the temple to worship and admire its beauty. Seeing the increasing number of devotees, the rich man, he made arrangements for food and lodging and boarding of those devotees in the temple complex itself. Now, this wealthy man needed a person who could oversee all the arrangements in the temple. So he put up a notice outside the temple saying that need an administrator. Seeing the notice, many people started coming to him. People knew that this temple is very rich now. So many people coming here every day. And the job of administrator, you will get a good salary. That is what people started imagining. But the rich man returned each applicant after the interview saying that I need a suitable person for the job who can manage the temple properly. Since he was rejecting everyone's application who turned up for the job every time, many people started calling him a fool, a lunatic person. Pagal hai aadmi, something like that. But he did not pay heed to that, anyone's comments. And he kept on looking for a person to manage the temple. The man would sit on the terrace of his house every day, which was by the side of the temple only, watching the devotees coming to the temple. One day he saw a very poor man with coming to the temple complex wearing torn clothes. When the poor man came out of the temple, the rich man called him, Idrao. And he said, will you take care of all arrangements of this temple? The poor man was baffled. He was very surprised to hear this. And he replied with folded hands, I am very poor man. I am not even well educated. How can I handle such a big temple? The wealthy man smiled and he said, I don't want any learned man to manage the temple. I want to hand over his arrangement to a qualified man. The poor man got confused. He said that, am I qualified? Among all the devotees, why do you consider me a worthy person to manage this temple? To this the rich man said, I know you are worthy. I had buried a piece of brick on the way to the temple several days ago. I left one corner of the brick sticking out of the ground purposely. I have been keeping a watch for many days. A lot of people stumbled on that piece of brick. Many people even fell down. But no one ever thought of removing that piece of brick from there. You did not stumble on that brick. Still, when you saw it, you thought of removing it from there. I saw. You took a shovel from the labor there, dug up that piece and leveled the ground again so that nobody stumbles, nobody falls down. The poor man said, I have not done something great. Every man should think of others and remove the obstacles in his way. I did the same way, no? I only did what was my duty. The rich man smiled at him and he said, only those who know their duty are the worthy people. With this, the rich man handed over the responsibility of managing that temple to that poor man. God gives us such opportunities in our path of spirituality on a regular basis to rise above. But either we don't understand those opportunities or we ignore those. Whatever we do, we must excel, and that has nothing to do with our ego. Okay, let us continue with slok number 30 now. Dehi nityamavadhyo yan dehe sarvasya bharata tasmat sarvani bhutani natvam shochitamarhasi. Natvam shochitamarhasi. Natvam shochitamarhasi. Paramatma is again and again saying, don't grieve, don't grieve, don't grieve. Dehi. Dehi means the owner of this material body, Jivatma, soul. Nityam, eternal. Avadhya, cannot be killed. Ayam, this soul, Dehe, in the body, Sarvasya, of everyone. Tasmat, therefore, Sarvani is all. Bhutani, all living entities, all beings. Shuchitum arasi. No need to grieve. So Paramatma says, oh Arjuna, oh Bharata, this soul in everybody's body is beyond destruction. Therefore, you should not grieve for any person. The soul being eternal and indestructible, and the body being destructible and short-lived, how can the immortal soul permanently live in a temporary body? one is permanent and one is temporary. Can they go together for the whole of life? What is permanent, we'll have to leave what is temporary, no? Therefore, there is no reason to grieve and sorrow. The indestructible is bound to end and die, and the destructible is bound to die and end, and the indestructible will always be there. So why worry? So the basic principle Krishna is again emphasizing is soul is eternal, body is destructible. Realizing soul should be the prime objective of human life. Let's proceed on to slok number 31 now. Paramatma says in slok 31, स्वधर्ममपि च अवेक्ष न विकम्पितुमर्हसि धर्म्याद्युद्धश्रेयोऽन्यत् क्षत्रियस्य न विद्यते. Now Paramatma will change the track again. Sri Krishna says, Swadharma, one's own duties. Aveksha, considering. Vikampitum, to hesitate. Dharmyat, for your dharma, for your duty. Yuddhat, in fighting. Anyata, any other. Kshatriyasya, of the Kshatriya. Na vidyate, does not exist. So Paramatma says, even looking at your own dharma, Arjuna, or your duty, dharma means duty, you cannot afford to waver. Because for a Kshatriya, nothing can be more welcome and beneficial than a dharma yuddha, the righteous war. Now Shri Krishna, having elaborately spoken on soul and body in so many shlokas that we have been studying, is changing the track to convince Arjuna that he needs to rethink his decision of not fighting the war. Scriptures have laid down the duties of various classes of people. These duties are obligatory for those classes. A Kshatriya's duty is to uphold the dharma, participate in a righteous war, and never show back in the battlefield. That is his duty. To run away from battlefield is a blemish for a Kshatriya. The word dharma means the duty. God has defined duties of various classes in the 18th adhyay. Brahmana kshatri visham shudrana incha parantapa karmani prabhavakta nisvavaha prabhairgunaihi yajakshamadati vishaucham madroho natimanita bhavanti. These are the 16th adhyay. But in 18th adhyay, Paramatma has said this, Brahman, Kshatriya, Visham, Shudra, and Parantapa, and the duties of these classes, Brahman, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra, have been elaborately explained in 18th adhyay. Now, Arjuna was brought up in a family of warriors. Here, Shri Krishna reminds Arjuna of his dharma as a Kshatriya, saying that since childhood, you have received the training in warfare as a Kshatriya, including the training to defend the kingdom. If needed, then even give up your life to protect it. Your duty is to wage the war. Your duty is to wage the war. And in no way can you allow grief and or attachment to distract you from your duty, from your dharma. In a way, Krishna is chiding Arjuna, saying that, do you think you are wiser than me, Arjuna? The decision for war has been taken after much deliberation. You know about it. Now, when we are on the battlefield, you cannot turn back. If the reason for your withdrawing from war is overwhelming grief and attachment, I have already explained to you in details that the body is mortal, bound to change and perish, whereas Atma is changeless, immortal. Then what is there to grieve? So many times I have explained you the same fact. I think enough for the day. Let us stop here. And now the forum is open for your questions. Jai Shri Krishna.
I extend my heartfelt gratitude to Vikas Vaidya for the wonderful and thought-provoking session. With your guidance, we are now a step ahead to dwell and meditate on the divine. An announcement. We invite sadhaks to share the Vivechan links, Zoom and YouTube to friends and relatives to spread this divine message and to motivate them to register and embark on a transformative journey of spiritual knowledge. Vikas ji is now open for taking your questions. You may raise your hands and if possible, switch on your videos if you have a question. Namle, Nisha ji. Didi, unmute yourself.
Jai Shri Krishna Didi. I want to ask one question to Bhaiya about Dada, as you already said that Atma is immortal, eternal, then why the people on the earth take his Shraddha, in particular Brahmin caste? What is the need?
This question was raised in last session also. You see, our forefathers, our ancestors have been teaching us to perform Shraddha on the annual day when our forefathers have passed away. And we have been faithfully doing that. So this is based on our traditions, family traditions. But after acquiring knowledge from Gita, which Gita has already clarified that nobody dies anytime because we are soul and not that gross body. So after acquiring this knowledge, it becomes questionable as to Shraddha we are performing for whom? For someone who has not died, because he already acquired another body and maybe he is happily living in that body. So why to perform Shraddha? Question is logical, perfectly logical. But there is something called family traditions and teachings of our traditions. So my suggestion is we perform Shraddha for first 3 years when the soul departs, when the body dies. Soul departs but acquires another body, that is okay. But the body dies. So we perform Shraddha for 3 years faithfully, and from 4th year onwards, we give some amount of donation to either an orphanage or some Vruddhashram, old people homes, and then get satisfied. But at the same time, we read complete Gita, we do Gita Parayan on that annual day for that soul. So we now perform 2 types of Shraddhas. Earlier we were not knowing Gita, so we were performing Shraddha only for body. But after knowing that we are not body, we are soul, we need to perform Shraddha, remember that soul also, no, of our ancestors. And the best way to remember that soul is to read entire Bhagavad Gita on their annual day. So this way we'll be happy both ways. Any other questions?
Dr. Geeta Bhatt ji.
Jai Shri Krishna, Bhaiya.
Jai Shri
This rebirth, is it, I mean, there is another thought, like people say it's continuation is through DNA, which is
Yeah.
our, from
Yeah.
forefathers to our children. And
Yes,
so,
yes.
what is your...
No, DNA is true because, ultimately the children are produced from the sperm and ova of parents, isn't it? So it does get reflected in the DNA. What
So,
Paramatma said in Gita is DNA is fine, the body is formed from the parents. But what about the mind? What about the intellect? That is not coming from DNA. That depends on individuals' own efforts. Otherwise, Krishna's children would have died fighting between themselves. And umpty number of examples we discussed. Why those people are not born as enlightened masters? Because they did not perform sadhana. They did not have any individual efforts on their part. So body they can acquire from very enlightened masters. Okay, fine, very good. But so long as their mind and their intellect is not acquiring that level, they can be as ordinary as we are, or maybe even worse than us. The examples that we discussed, Krishna's sons or Sharda Devi's sons or Guru Nanak's sons, they were much inferior than what we are, honestly.
also other thing is like elements get mixed and something else will be born out of it.
Yeah.
Our body elements, but
Yes.
only the soul or mind is.
Yeah, when we'll study 13th Adhyay, we'll understand that this body comprises of 24 elements, Kshetra and Kshetrajna. This is Kshetra. Our body is called Kshetra. And the one who is living in this body, the Atma, is called Kshetrajna. In Gita, the Atma has been called in by 2-3 names. Dehi, Kshetrajna, Atma. These are all the names of the same Atma. Okay. So this Kshetra is consisting of elements which includes Panchamahabhuta. Mahabhutanyahangkaro buddhirubhyaktamevacha indriyani dashaikancha panchachendriya gocharaha. 10 indriyas, 5 objects of indriyas, Shabda Sparsha Rupa Rasa Gandha, and Panchamahabhuta, earth, water, fire, all that, 5 Panchamahabhuta. So there are 24 elements which comprise this body. And then when the body is burned, all these Panchamahabhuta who were earlier having the gross form in the form of our body, which were manifested form of those Panchamahabhutas, again those Panchamahabhuta go to their respective areas. Water goes to water, earth goes to earth. From gross, they go to subtle. And when the new body takes place, again the subtle becomes gross. When the body dies, again the gross becomes subtle. So there's a play going on between manifest, unmanifest, manifest, unmanifested, and gross, subtle, gross, subtle, gross, subtle. Energy cannot be destroyed. Energy's form can be changed. Hydraulic energy can be converted into mechanical energy or electrical energy, but it cannot be destroyed. That is the principle of science. And according to this principle, the body, our soul, is also energy. Soul cannot be destroyed. Because that is a Chetana, that is a soul, that is a Paramatma. How can Paramatma be destroyed? The form, okay, form keeps changing, manifest, unmanifest, and all that. So when gross becomes subtle, subtle becomes gross, manifest becomes unmanifest, unmanifest becomes manifest. This cycle is going on for millions of times in the life. As we discussed last time, if the Earth's age is 4.3 billion years, and if our age is 100 years, for example, then 4.3 divided by 100, how many millions of years, how many millions of bodies we have changed so far? Isn't it? So why to cry for this body now? The something which has happened millions of times earlier is going to happen once more. Isn't it? So that's why this gross and subtle game we need to understand and then stop grieving either for ourselves or for the nears and dear ones of us. Because after acquiring Gita knowledge, if we still keep grieving, then what is the difference between us and the people who have not understood Gita? Isn't it? We'll be insulting Krishna if we still keep grieving for the departed body. Soul has not departed, soul has acquired another body. So when you say we pray for the departed soul, actually soul is happily living somewhere. He has acquired fresh new body and maybe he is happier than what he was in this life. His good karmas of this life are paying him and he has got better family, better environment for continuing his spiritual sadhana. So that's a matter of honestly, if we know that somebody has lived his full life and he has acquired new body, that's a event of celebration rather than grief. That his spiritual sadhana is continuing in the fresh life with a newly acquired body. He's more fresh to continue and march ahead further on the path of spirituality, on the path of moksha. Okay, any other questions?
Thank you.
Lakshya ji?
Yeah. Jai Sri Krishna ji.
Jai Shri Krishna.
When does the soul enter the body?
Soul enters the body. We discussed this cycle of 9 months when the sperm and ova come together, conceptualization takes place, then the body is getting developed in the mother's womb, all that happens.
Yeah.
4th month onwards, the body starts moving. So the karma that body starts doing, even when it is inside the womb of mother, because it starts spreading its hands, spreading its legs. So the karma starts from that moment. And that is the time when the body starts chetana, when it gets chetana, that means it has got the atma now. The soul is there. Body without soul cannot move. Body without soul cannot speak. Body without soul is dead body. But when the body becomes alive in the womb of mother, that time the soul has already entered the body.
By 3 months of concept.
Normally they say, yeah, when the body starts moving, when the ladies go to the doctor and then doctor sees the belly and then he checks, now I can see the movement and all that. So I'm not an expert in that, but normally third month onwards, they start seeing some movement of that fetus. And then they say, yes, baby is there intact. And that is the time when the soul has entered the body. Because unless the soul has entered the body cannot show any movement.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions, please?
Rajni ji.
Jai Shri Krishna.
Jai Shri
Bhaiya.
Krishna. Jai Shri Krishna. Rajani ji.
Yes, I got a lot of things cleared today. I was in Delmia. I read Gita for many years, but at present some situations are there that you have given such a good examples. From that I got cleared. I will try to practice. And I feel meditation is more important, what you say.
Yeah, yeah.
I read
Precisely.
Bhagavad Gita from many years. From
Yeah.
1990, I read one chapter daily. Not shlokas, but then simple Gita is there. But I
Yes.
read before having food, I read every day. It is my
Yes.
practice from
Right.
years. So, but I feel meditation is much more stronger.
Definitely.
To
See,
know
take any
thyself.
shloka.
So,
Take any shloka or any one charan of that shloka and develop practice that today I will do meditation on this shloka or this charan of this shloka. Mamanusper yuddhecha. At that there is a slok. Mamanusper yuddhecha. Only one charan. Remember me and do your kartavya karma also. Yuddha is kartavya karma for Arjuna, of course. So Mamanusper yuddhecha can be one charan on which you can do the meditation for years, for days, for the whole of life. Because Mamanusper yuddhecha is teaching you bhakti yoga as well as your karma yoga. Remember me and do your kartavya karma also. So like that, there are several
kartavya,
Gita
sorry.
on which we
You
can do
say this.
meditation.
No, matlab, to know thyself, I think meditation is Bhagavad
Yes.
Gita reading is there. I am 110% on Krishna faith from many years, and I don't ask him anything. I asked him once. My brother was very serious. He was suffering from cancer, so
Oh.
he was very serious. And that day, I felt now he won't come out. This Mokshada Ekadashi was there. Mokshada, which no, not Mokshada. The one in which we don't drink water. Nirjala Ekadashi was there. I was going to office and every day I used to read Geeta and give him the Ganga Jal and go to office. That day I just stepped out from the house, but I felt today he won't be there if I come. So I came back home.
Oh.
I came back inside, and slept beside him only. So, and I was praying God, Prabhu, today you give him moksha. From last 3-4 months he is suffering on the bed. Please give him today moksha. And he was actually not interested in God. He used to pray God, but I used to start satsang and all. He used to close the satsang. Even if we had a shop, he will come for 2 minutes, he will close the satsang and start new channel and go. But in the last days, after giving him Ganga Jal every day, his life changed. And he used to tell me, you play the songs, play the Sukhmani, play the bhajans. So every day I used to give him Gita Ganga Jal before going to office. I used to read one chapter and I used to give him Ganga Jal Tulsi Dal. So that day I felt today he won't be there. I came back and that day he expired after some hours, 3 hours, 1.5, 2 hours, he expired. From that day, after that, I have not asked God anything.
Yeah,
after that, I have not asked
your
God
behavior is
anything.
very ideal behavior, and Krishna is expecting that matured behavior from us. For the departing soul, we should also this kind of maturity and pray for his moksha rather than asking him to stop. Put him on a ventilator, put him on this, that, put him on that. We're troubling that fellow. We're troubling that body, old body, which is already aged out. So a person has crossed 80 years, 85 years. Why to trouble him like this?
No, he was not. He was young only, 58 years.
Oh, sorry.
But then, he had a cancer.
Cancer,
And
then body has become so diseased.
4 years, he was there in 4 years, he was there. But then in the last, he had a paralysis attack. So after that, he was on bed only last 2-3 months. So then he lost his confidence. Otherwise, he was confident. He used to run the shop also. But in the last after paralysis attack, while on bed, he lost confidence. So I said, Prabhu, today you gave a moksha. Please. He went off peacefully. And then after that, I have never asked God. Even if I do prayer, I say, Sri Krishna Arpanam, whatever.
Yeah, correct. Very right. Okay. Any other questions?
Mutaya ji?
This hardware pravachan. No, yeah.
I got one
So,
question.
Yeah.
I
So
got one question.
I want to say, I want, Bhaiya, hello,
some other
please, Bhaiya, let me finish. Sir, I want to know, in how many days the birth is taken again by the Atma?
It depends. The Atma will get a body suitable according to his past karmas and his past samskars. Till the time it does not find that suitable body, it has to be in search of that body. Our scriptures say it may take from 3 days to 3 years, maybe even more.
Achha.
Yeah. Okay, Tiwari ji, what is your question?
Yeah. As you are told, Arjuna also asking the same doubt. If somebody is in a certain stage of spiritual path, even they have not attained moksha or anything, if they leave the body, at that time, next body, what will happen? That's what he is asking to Krishna. And Krishna was telling that it will go into according to that karma, it will search and go to a good parents.
Yes.
So at that time they will start, suppose the musician, if he has got a good musical habits, and it will born in a musical family also.
Yeah.
So that they will get more skills.
Yeah. When that hidden desire remains, that's why we see, you might have seen many young boys, 4 or 5 years old.
Yeah, that is, yes.
They can play good keyboard, they can play good tabla or any other musical instrument. How it has come to them? Definitely they are carrying it, the legacy from their past life.
And also I heard this is Jews, in the Israel's Jews families, the ladies, when they get pregnant, and at the time they will be trying to learn a lot of mathematical formulas, they will instill the skill of mathematics to the womb inside, that when they are born, before they give birth, they will be having that type of skills, that mathematical skills. That's why, the Jews are more intelligent than other people.
True. See, our Sanatan Dharma also has Garbha Samskar. Garbha Samskar is that only. We are doing samskars on that Garbha which is in the mother's womb, and Abhimanyu learned the technique of breaking that chakra when he was in the womb of his mother. He acquired that knowledge. That is what they say, isn't it? So we also have the tradition of Garbha Samskar, wherein people are expected to read good literature, good thinking, good stories, good knowledge. So their mind becomes sattvic before they give birth. So that the child also becomes like that. You see? So we also have that
easy to instill that time,
Yeah. It's easy.
Just like Narada gave for the Prahlad, this thing, the knowledge of
right.
So I think it should be all made more public. Now people should be taught on those lines so that they can produce good children.
Yes, that's why we are trying to teach Geeta to as many people as possible through Geeta Pariwar, so that this thought of Geeta is spread to as many people as possible.
Yeah.
Okay. Any other questions?
Okay.
Hello.
Yes, please. Tiwari
ji. Thanks for very learned your explanations. My question is that see, you told that Atma is all pervasive.
Yes.
So even the tiniest of the elements, Atma is there.
Yes.
So does it mean that Atma has taken form of all the elements also?
No. Atma is always unmanifested. Atma can acquire another body or another shape or another yoni. But
my point is that elements which are made, they are made of Atma only, because it is all pervasive. See, whenever we divide elements, if we continue to divide element in pieces, so even the tiniest of the piece will contain Atma. So ultimately, it is Atma which has taken shape of all the elements. Is it like that?
No, it is not like that.
Yeah.
Because we discussed Atma cannot be cut. So if it cannot be cut, how can it be entered into another small piece? I have got 100 grams of Atma, you have got 200 grams of Atma. There is nothing like that. Atma is one in everybody. Jivas are in billions and trillions.
Yeah.
Jivas are in billions and trillions. Atma is one, and that one common Atma exists in everybody. That is what when we learn 13th Adhyaya Bhagavad Gita, Krishna is going to say the same thing. That as a Kshetrajna, I am there in everybody's body. So as a Atma, what is there in everybody's body is Lord Vishnu only.
Body is okay. My point is, say elements, say Akash, or so even the smallest of the Akash will contain Atma. So Atma ultimately this Atma has taken shape of all these whatever visible or Vyakta form.
See, the meaning of all pervading is that only, that it is there everywhere. All pervading means that only. It is there where you are sitting right now in your room. It is there in me when I am sitting in my room here.
Okay,
Not
it is
that
all in me, but even in metal or even in wood or say, there also it is there, no?
All charachar, Paramatma is there. All charachar, char and
Yeah,
achar.
so ultimately, Paramatma has taken form in different objects also.
Yes. You can say that if you want to, because if you say that Atma has acquired that body, like Atma has acquired our body, your body, Atma has acquired some another body also. You can say that.
So
But that is not Atma. That is the manifested form of that body.
Right. So even Jada is Atma only, but it is in different form.
Different form, yes. It has acquired different physical form, different manifested form.
Right. And second question is, say you told that it is Sthanur and Achaloyam.
Yeah.
So what is the difference between Sthanu and Achal?
Sthanu and Achala. See, it can be Sthanu. That means it does not move from one place to another. Like if you see a tree is planted at a place, say mango tree is there. It is stationed at one place. It is not moving that today it is there and tomorrow it has gone 50 feet away from there. So it is Sthanu. It is at one place only. But Achala, when the wind comes, the tree is dancing.
Okay.
That is Chala. Achala is opposite of that. So Atma is Sthanu and Achala. It does not move from this place to that place, but at its own place also, it does not move at all.
Okay.
Sthanu and Achala both.
Oh, thanks, Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Rajni ji.
Jai Shri Krishna Bhaiya.
Jai Shri Krishna.
Bhaiya, please reply that question. No, as we give seva and all for, I am giving tech seva. So meditation is important or giving seva is important?
Both have different objectives. You can do both this. If you can do seva plus meditation, nothing like it. But my first preference will be meditation.
To know thyself, meditation is a must.
Yeah, meditation is a must. For the self purity, purity of mind, purity for antakaran, purity for of your heart, hridaya, and for cleansing our past samskars, no other thing better than meditation.
How much time we should meditate?
Our charity, our dana, whatever we do, yajna, dana, tapa, puja, all these things we are doing, fine, they have their own benefits, but nothing like meditation. Nothing like meditation.
Bhaiya, how much time we should meditate in a day?
Till the time your mind becomes still and thoughtless.
No, how much hours, suppose? 1 hour, 50 minutes, 20 minutes?
No, the time, you cannot mind the time. It may take 5 hours, 10 hours also, till the time your mind becomes still. If you go to say your friend and if he says, wait for 10 minutes, I will just go do a meditation and come back. You can assume that he's bluffing. Nobody can do meditation in 10 minutes. The mind does not become thoughtless in 10 minutes. It takes a lot of time for your mind to become still.
No, regularly how much we should say? how many hours we should
First
sit
of
for
all,
practice.
you decide the place where you will meditate. You decide the time at what you will meditate. 5:30 in the morning, then sharp at 5:30 you will be at that place. So place and time are important. And third thing is, you pick up one thought on which you will do meditation. Otherwise, when you sit for meditation, your mind will be confused. What I should think in my mind? So there has to be a focused point on which your intellect, your mind has to concentrate on. So before you sit for meditation, as I said, pick up one slok, one charana Bhagavad-Gītā. Today I will do meditation on this thought, on this message of Paramatma. And then when you sit for meditation, close your eyes and then think about that shloka and do meditation, contemplation about different meanings of that words, what Paramatma has given, and then trying to see how these things have happened in your life or the lives of your near ones and dear ones, or in the social life, wherever you have moved around. So that is the way to do meditation. And thinking, the mind becomes so tired that the mind becomes thoughtless. That is what we discussed today, no? When the mind becomes thoughtless, then the Paramatma dawns take place. That is the dawn of Paramatma Atmajnan. So bringing mind to that stage and thoughtlessness is a must. Okay, any other questions or should we stop for the day?
Santosh ji?
Namaste. Thank you, Vaidya, explaining so logically. The two ways what we follow, one is the meditation, as you say, going internally and contemplating on one particular part. We also follow in practice the chanting, which is more external and vocal. It can be mantra or Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare. So what is better for us to come closer to God or make a progress or reach to that purity? That I am difficult to understand. Does the chanting also help us there that way?
See, when you are angry or when you are having some deep kamana, lust, desire in your mind, the best way is to go out for a long walk and do namasmaran. Whatever Shriram, Jairam, Jajaram, or whatever nam you want to take. Don't sit at that place where that thought has come to your mind. Get up immediately and go for a walk. Go for a walk and keep chanting that mantra, what you have in mind. Till the time that thought has disappeared and that namasmaran has helped you to come back to normal, then only you come back and sit at your place. That is the way to bring the mind to a stage where you can start meditation. A mind which is full of desires or kamanas, it cannot focus on meditation. Impossible. Isn't it? So as we discussed several ways of dan, tapa, yajna, and the beginning that I said was brooming. झाड़ू लगा सकते हैं ना कम से कम. Even that is also a sadhana. Cleaning the temple or cleaning your own puja house is also a sadhana.
Okay, yeah.
If we don't know anything else, start from that and then go on rising slowly. Many people say, we can't read Sanskrit, we don't understand Sanskrit. Okay, start in somewhere or the other. Namasmaran you can do cleaning of temple, you can do dana, charity. Slowly, ladder by ladder, you can go on rising up. And then meditation is much higher than all this. And then, of course, comes the sadhana, the samadhi.
So, Bhaiya, these are the means to go. Meditation is the goal, and these are all help us, whether it is chanting or.
The goal is samadhi.
Okay.
Goal is samadhi, and for samadhi, the last step of the ladder is meditation. When your meditation is successful, then you enter into samadhi. But entering into samadhi, nirvikalpa samadhi is the samadhi wherein there are no kamanas, no desires. That nirvikalpa samadhi is the ultimate objective of our life. And that person entering into nirvikal samadhi can only aspire to get moksha. He should be in a regular habit of entering into nirvikalpa samadhi.
Yeah.
And
okay, thank you.
These are all the steps for doing that step.
Thank you.
Any other questions, please? Thank you.
Thank you. Many thanks, respected Vikas ji, for the wonderful, interesting, and thought-provoking session. So many comments have come that you have cleared their doubts, which they have carried for a long time. So thank you very much for that. The challenge is to practice and apply the deep learning you have imparted. We thank, on behalf of Geeta Pariwar, we would like to thank each and every one of you Geeta Sadhaks for attending this evening session. See you all in another enlightening session next week. On behalf of Geeta Pariwar, sincere thanks to the technical team for their relentless efforts in making this session a great success. There will be the chanting of the Hanuman Chalisa after the prayer. Let's again offer our prayers in the lotus feet of the Lord. We call upon Shailaja Suhas Kelkar ji to pray with us. Srimati Shailaja Suhas Kelkar, Bachelor of Ayurvedic Medicine, is from Ulve, Navi Mumbai. She enjoys reading and the practice of yoga. She joined Geeta Pariwar in December 22 and now volunteers as tech assistant. Welcome, Shailaja ji.
Jai Shri Krishna. योगेशं सच्चिदानन्दं वासुदेवं व्रजप्रियं धर्मसंस्थापकं वीरं कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुं श्रीकृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुं. Jai Shri Krishna.
Jai Shri Krishna. Thank you, Didi, for the harmonious prayer. Jai Shri Krishna.
Jai Shri Krishna.
श्री गुरु चरण सरोज रज निज मन मुकुर सुधारि बरनउ रघुबर बिमल जसु जो दायक फलचारि बुद्धिहीन तनु जानिके सुमिरौ पवन कुमार बल बुद्धि विद्या देहु मोहि हरहु कलेस विकार. जय हनुमान ज्ञान गुण सागर जय कपीस तिहु लोक उजागर रामदूत अतुलित बल धामा अंजनी पुत्र पवन सुत नामा महावीर विक्रम बजरंगी कुमति निवार सुमति के संगी कंचन बरन विराज सुबेसा कानन कुंडल कुंचित केसा हाथ वज्र औ ध्वजा विराजय कांधे मूंज जनेऊ साजय शंकर सुवन केसरी नंदन तेज प्रताप महाजगवंदन विद्यावान गुणी अति चातुर राम काज करिबे को आतुर प्रभु चरित्र सुनिबे को रसिया राम लखन सीता मन बसिया सूक्ष्म रूप धरि सिरहि दिखावा विकट रूप धरि लंक जरावा भीम रूप धरि असुर सहारे रामचंद्र के काज सवारे लाय सजीवन लखन जियाए श्री रघुवीर हर्षि उर लाए रघुपति कीन्ही बहुत बड़ाई तुम मम प्रिय भरत ही सम भाई सहस बदन तुम रोज सगावै अस कहि श्रीपति कंठ लगावै सनकादिक ब्रह्मादि मुनीसा नारद सारद सहित अहिसा जम कुबेर दिगपाल जहाते कवि कोविद कहि सके कहाते तुम उपकार सुग्रीव ही कीन्हा राम मिलाय राजपद दीना तुम्हरो मंत्र विभीषण माना लंकेश्वर भय सब जग जाना जुग सहस्र योजन पर भानु लील्यो ताहि मधुर पल जानु प्रभु मुद्रिका मेलि मुख माहि जलधि लांघि गए अचरज नाहि दुर्गम काज जगत के जेते सुगम अनुग्रह तुमरे तेते राम दुआरे तुम रखवारे होतन आज्ञा बिनु पैसारे सब सुख लहै तुम्हारी सरना तुम रक्षक काहू को डरना आपन तेज समारो आपै तीनों लोक हाकते कापै भूत पिशाच निकट नहीं आवै महावीर जब नाम सुनावै नासै रोग हरै सब पीरा जपत निरंतर हनुमत बीरा संकट ते हनुमान छुड़ावै मन क्रम वचन ध्यान जो लावै सब पर राम तपस्वी राजा जिनके काज सकल तुम साजा और मनोरथ जो कोई लावै सोई अमित जीवन फल पावै चारों जुग प्रताप तुम्हारा है प्रसिद्ध जगत उजियारा साधु संत के तुम रखवारे असुर निकंदन राम दुलारे अष्ट सिद्धि नो निधि के दाता असबर दीन जानकी माता राम रसायन तुम्हारे पासा सदा रहो रघुपति के दासा तुम्हारे भजन राम को पावै जन्म जन्म के दुख बिसरावै अंत काल रघुवर पुर जाई जहाँ जन्म हरि भक्त कहाई और देवता चित्तन धरई हनुमत से सर्व सुख करई संकट कटई मिटई सब पीरा जो सुमिरै हनुमत बल बीरा जय 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 हनुमान गोसाई कृपा करहु गुरुदेव की नाई जो सत बार पाठ कर कोई छूट ही बंदी महासुख होई जो यह पढ़ हनुमान चालीसा होय सिद्धि साखी गौरी सा तुलसीदास सदा हरि चेरा की जय नाथ हृदय महडेरा पवन तनय संकट हरन मंगल मूर्ति रूप राम लखन सीता सहित हृदय बसहु सुर भूप सियावर रामचंद्र की जय पवन सुत हनुमान की जय.